All right, we're recordifying. Let's get this up. We got a
breaking news.
Some pretty breaking news. Let's get it. So the Turkish military, or as they're saying, a small faction in the Turkish military, has overthrown the government. Erdogan was out of the country. He's trying to land. They won't let his plane land. He's currently seeking asylum in Germany. I don't know why it's asylum, but
well, because he's running away.
Well, he can't land.
According to CNN and all the other bullshit news media, it's a small faction of the Turkish military. But I'm pretty sure 2 or 3 guys can't take over fucking helicopters and fucking airplanes and fly them over the capital and dominate airspace.
Yeah.
For anybody, unconfirmed reports from RT though does say that Germany has denied him asylum, so he's at an unconfirmed location right now. We're talking about I don't know. His first name is Recep Erdogan, the psychopath president of Turkey, or was president at this point. So why does it matter?
It matters because it's regime change time.
Well, here's the thing, right? So Erdogan's a piece of shit. He's a guy who
giving dap to ISIS. He's like, I got you.
Yeah, there's no proof of that yet, but people think he's basically in bed with both sides. And Erdogan, if you don't remember, a little while ago, a couple months ago, he's tried to actually sue a German comedian for making jokes about him. Obviously, they didn't work out because the Germans don't play that game. But he did have a famous model and actress in Turkey jailed, well, a suspended jail sentence for speaking out against him on Twitter. So this guy's a piece of shit who doesn't believe in freedom of speech. He suppresses the press. That was kind of weird. Suppresses the press, and he hates the LGBT community, and they're always stifling or preventing marches for equal rights within the country. He hates freedom, and the military. Hopefully, what we're seeing here is the military taking action and getting rid of him, and perhaps opening free elections. They did release a statement here, and it says, according to the military, what's the exact quote? I don't want to be speaking out of context. I had it right here. Oh, here it is. So the Turkish Armed Forces released a statement saying that they have completely taken over the administration of the country to reinstate constitutional order, human rights and freedoms, the rule of law, and general security that was damaged. Says, well, that's what they're saying. And later on in the statement, they also said all international agreements are still valid, and we hope that all good relationships with all countries will continue. So hopefully, what they're doing is getting rid of a scumbag and taking control of the country so that they can have new elections. Because, I mean, we don't want a military dictatorship. But, I mean, how could it get much worse than the guy who was already suppressing speech all over the country?
So the military came in. They were like, you know what? These colors don't run. And they gave them a taste of the red, white, and that's it. Because that's all their flag is. It's red and white.
Red and white.
But there was no blue because they're not sad. They're happy about this occasion. But really, it wasn't a small faction. You got to think about it like this. For anybody that was in the military, imagine if they were like, all right, say somebody who was stationed in Germany. They're like, all right, second platoon, we're taking over Germany. You know, that's not happening. Or Charlie Company, we're overthrowing the nation. It's not happening. It's not a small faction. It's a lot of. It's got to be a lot of motherfuckers. There's probably, I'm sure there's outliers that don't want to do it because they don't want to rock the boat. But in order to have control of vehicles and the airport and everything, these are large numbers.
So Erdogan is right now up in the air, and they can't figure out where he's at because reports have been coming out that he was not denied asylum in Germany, thankfully. But you ask yourself, you know what? How does this affect you? Well, fun fact. Everyone, there's pictures right now. If you Google, everyone in fucking Turkey is going to the ATMs to withdraw their money because they have no idea what's going to happen. Everything could just disappear overnight, so they want hard cash. Probably going to withdraw in dollars since the dollar keeps rising.
And also Erdogan, he was able to communicate with a CNN reporter in Turkey over FaceTime, and he said through an iPhone, he said that the people need to go into the streets and protest the coup, and that this will be taken care of. That the people that are trying to overthrow him will be punished or whatever.
Complete bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't think this is sponsored. Usually coups are sponsored, like the Venezuelan coup of Hugo Chavez in the early 2000s. Was sponsored by the CIA. This isn't controversy. I think this one was actually the Turkish people and the military deciding that they've had enough. You know, the military is usually representative of the population because it's made of the population. So why does it matter, right? You got to remember, Turkey is the bridge between Asia, the Middle East, and the Western world. And there's always been a conflict within Turkey, whether they should remain conservative or aim towards modernizing, westernizing, and giving more rights to women and gays, lesbians, etc. And so while the United States is worried about, you know, let's say there was 3,000 Syrian refugees into the United States last year. Turkey takes in millions, right? So it's the first place everyone goes because it's bordering Syria. They take in hundreds of thousands, up to millions of people, and then they have to make the decision of where do they go. They need to create a buffer so that people can't just go from Turkey into the rest of Europe. So they play a very important role, and our relationship with them is key and vital. And we haven't really been knowing where we stand with them with Erdogan in power because it seems like he's playing both sides. He gets money from the West, but he's really not doing anything to stop ISIS. He says things. And at the same time, because it's the buffer, it's the closest place we can. There are U.S. military troops in Turkey at any given time. If you remember recently, some Navy guys got in a fight in Turkey with some Turkish people who wanted them out. So it's very important for us and Europe and the West in general what happens in Turkey. So destabilization in Turkey really fucks up everything in Europe as far as refugees and ISIS, because if there's no control in Turkey, it's going to be mayhem. It's a free-for-all. Anybody can go through it. As long as Turkey's stable, there's some kind of buffer between the mess in the Middle East and the rest of Europe. So if anybody who's bordering Turkey right now is shitting their pants because this is going to open a lot of it's going to be a lot of problems.
And another thing, and it's not just immigrants coming in to live. Also, for the most part, Turkey has kind of had a stranglehold on anybody that's wanted to possibly come through and radicalize. You know, so
right. It's the first place. It's
yeah.
like Mexico. It's the bordering country. It's right there. It's the transcontinental hub. So that there's literally a bridge that connects Europe to Asia. Right. It's a bridge. So when you cross it, you're in Asia, and you cross it the other way, you're in Europe. Right now, the military has it completely blocked off. It has all in and outs of the city blocked off, not letting Erdogan land in Istanbul. Although, according to RT, commercial jets are still flying in and out of the city. So they're trying to maintain order. They're not trying to make it a free-for-all, even though there are helicopters firing on government headquarters. Not specifically sure what buildings, but there is video of that happening. You also got to remember, outside of politics, Turkey has a monopoly on the opium that's created, that's grown and used in all the painkillers that come into the United States, which are the #1 fucking selling pills. So that's going to affect that. Now, what we hope happens is the coup is successful and they call for new elections where people will vote for a more Western government who will cooperate with the West, because that's it's in everyone's benefit with everything that's going on right now. What was I gonna say? I just lost my train of thought. Hold me out.
Well, then it's in everyone's best interest. I don't know if you don't know anybody from Turkey. I mean, they're young. The younger generation. I mean, the millennials for the most part, even the generation before that. They're modernized. Their culture is, although I mean they still have a lot of their heritage. I mean, they have a very westernized culture. I mean, they have hip hop and McDonald's and everything. I mean, these are. I mean, they're not whatever you think of when the TV and movies want to paint a picture of some any predominantly Islamic country. I mean, they're good people. It's a beautiful land, and they deserve the right, just like anyone does, to democracy and a president who's not going to put them in jail when they speak out against them.
Well, we can't. There's no guarantees on democracy, right? So
Yeah.
everybody was excited about
We're hoping for democracy.
the Arab Spring, but what ended up happening? The Arab Spring came in, created a power vacuum, and fucking mayhem all over the Middle East. So you need to understand how fucking important this is that this remains stable, because while we're talking about thousands of refugees, they take in millions and hundreds of thousands, which they don't even get to think. They don't even have a choice over. People just walk over. So it would be the equivalent of half of Mexico coming into Texas, just walking over the border. So they are basically, they are the sponge that absorbs 90% of the bullshit that comes into Europe and the West. So it's extremely important that people give a fuck about what's going on. And keep it in your minds. You know, Pokemon's cool, but you're not going to be playing Pokemon when there's a fucking nuke dropping, because Turkey was destabilized and everyone started fleeing into Europe and mayhem ensued and World War III breaks out and nobody knows who's fighting who. It's extremely important, and I don't know, keep it in your mind and fucking inform yourself, see what's going on, have an opinion, talk about it. It's for the interest of everyone, you know. You saw what happened in France just now, what keeps happening in France, what's happened in Germany. It's all landlocked. They can just walk to where they're going. And, you know, if Turkey goes, it's going to be a huge problem in the world.
So what you're saying is they should, if this is a successful coup and they are to quote unquote enable like a new democracy, are you saying they should put someone in power who will build a wall? Is that
Build
what
a
you're saying?
wall!
They should put the wall up 10 feet taller?
Yeah. Right. I mean, I had a quote unquote girlfriend in Germany who was Turkish, and she was super pro Erdogan. And to give you an idea of what kind of people support this man, she became like super extremist. I don't know. She was all about partying, normal, and then she decided she wanted to go with the headscarf, super conservative. I can't talk to you anymore because I'm not married to you type, right? And these are the people who support Erdogan. So that's not the kind of guy we want in control of Turkey in a time like now. This is extremely trying, I guess is the word, trying times with so much happening. I mean, look at what happened yesterday in France. The guy didn't even use a bomb, didn't use a gun. It was simply took a truck, murdered people. If that's what we're doing now, you really better hope to fucking God that Turkey can remain stable and that the military made the right decision here. Not that coups are all right, but I'm gonna have to go with the coup on this one. Sometimes it's just best to get rid of the garbage before it gets out of control.
I don't know. Again, like I said, they're good people over there. If you've never been there, if you've never experienced the food, Turkey is a beautiful place. The food is incredible. I like the people. I mean, I don't know. I want the best for them.
This guy sounds like a travel guide. Doner kebabs, that's all I'm going to say.
I fucking love doner kebabs. Let me get a doner
all
kebab
the
right
people
now.
we met, I mean, how many times have we been to, I mean, I've been to Germany, I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
And we meet so many people. Like when we stayed in Frankfurt last time, they're great businessmen. They own restaurants. They're more than happy to speak with you and talk to you about their culture and how they look forward to the future and modernizing. But then you get people like Erdogan who don't represent, it's like in Iran, who don't represent the people. They're in power and they want to keep shit the way it is because that's how they keep their power and stability. So, all for the coup. I hope it works out for the best. And I'm really, you know, I'm keeping them in my thoughts because people don't understand what it means, what war really means. Even if you've been to a war zone, when you're, think about where your home becomes a war zone. You can't escape that. You're not being paid to be there. You're not a soldier. You're just in a war zone, right? I have a little bit, when I was little, I went through that. I don't remember much of it, but I do remember that feeling. And it's terrible, and I can't imagine living in that right now. So, you know, everybody keep Turkey in your thoughts, because Turkey takes a brunt of the of the bullshit that we don't feel on our end. So that's my thoughts for this, and we'll keep updated as things happen.
Also, Jean-Claude Van Damme has a house in Istanbul.
That's right. We should just send him to go kick some fucking ass.
Maybe we could.
Roundhouse.
He's the one-man army. I don't know, but anyways, that was our breaking news. We're
gonna continue to do this. I don't know. Nobody wants to watch a fucking hour and a half for us talking, so we're just gonna cover topics as they come, and every now and then we'll have an interview and do the long shows.
We'll probably do an update on this, because there's going to be, obviously this is just, there's going to be a lot more that develops with this, but in the meantime, the first news source that we saw that had any information on it was RT, and they seem to be on it for everything. So go check out RT, because they're fucking killing it, and then come back to Young Jerks. All right, peace.